Everyone loves a surprise cameo. They make every movie that much more fun. But there are some cameos so well hidden because they're a special favor to a star or director or some kind of elaborate inside joke that they're easy to miss. Here are some times that big stars showed up in secret, uncredited roles, and hardly anyone noticed. Glenn Close, Hook. During one unforgettable scene in Steven Spielberg's Peter Pan riff, Captain Hook brutally throws one of his own pirates gutless into the boo box with a scorpion. It's enough to make any self-respecting pirate scream like a girl. But in this pirate's case, he actually was one. That's actress Glenn Close under the bushy beard, decades before she earned an Oscar nomination for playing another male character in Albert Nobbs. Peter Jackson, Hot Fuzz. At the beginning of this movie, Simon Pegg's cop character gets stabbed in the hand by an unhinged Santa Claus. Santa's face is obscured by a beard, but that psychotic Father Christmas is Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson, who was friendly with Hot Fuzz director Edgar Wright. After Jackson invited Wright to visit the set of King Kong, Wright returned the favor by extending an invite to the set of his film, where Jackson volunteered to do a cameo. This scene was shot after Jackson had lost a great deal of weight and shaved his beard, which means the director wore a phony fat suit for his big moment on screen. Cate Blanchett, Hot Fuzz. Peter Jackson wasn't the only big Hollywood name to pop up in this British cop comedy. In another scene, Simon Pegg's character meets up with his ex-girlfriend, an investigator named Janine, who's played by Cate Blanchett. Blanchett was a big fan of Edgar Wright's zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead, and when she met him at a party, he offered her a cameo, only one in which her face would be totally obscured, just because he thought it would be funny to cast an Oscar winner in a role which should be completely unrecognizable. Danny Glover, Maverick. In this 1994 big-screen remake of a classic TV comic western, Maverick is in a bank when a robbery goes down. Leading the crooks is a guy who uses a red bandana to cover up his face. He wouldn't want to be noticed after all. The scarf also did a pretty good job of concealing the identity of the actor playing the bandit, Mel Gibson's Lethal Weapon co-star Danny Glover. Steven Spielberg, The Blues Brothers. This film featured a marvelous roster of legendary blues and R&B musicians, including Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Cab Calloway, and John Lee Hooker. But also making an appearance as director Steven Spielberg, who struck up a friendship with Dan Akroyd and John Belushi a year earlier, and appears here as a clerk in a county assessor's office. Dan Akroyd, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. After Steven Spielberg cameoed in Dan Akroyd's movie, Akroyd returned the favor. At the very beginning of the second Indiana Jones adventure, a mustachioed British man helps arrange transportation for Indy at an airport, with one minor caveat.
But there might be a slight inconvenience as you will be riding on a cargo full of live poultry.
Of course, not even a silly accent can entirely mask Akroyd's distinctive voice, which makes this cameo one that's easier to spot than the rest. Bill Murray, Dumb and Dumber 2. This sequel to the classic idiot flick Dumb and Dumber was written and directed by Bobby and Peter Farrelly, who also directed Bill Murray in their 1996 bowling comedy Kingpin. Like Hot Fuzz director Edgar Wright, the Farrelly brothers thought it would be amusing to cast a very well-known actor in the role of Ice Pick, Harry's meth-making roommate, whose identity is completely concealed with a breathing apparatus throughout this one scene. And Murray was happy to trade his Kingpin comb-over for a hazmat suit. Jimmy Buffett, Jurassic World. When order inevitably breaks down and the dinosaurs at Jurassic World escape to terrorize the theme park guests, there's a few seconds of comic relief. An old dude in an orange shirt runs away from the chaos and carnage while carefully carrying 2 margaritas. Who played this hero? The planet's most ardent margarita lover, of course, Margaritaville singer Jimmy Buffett. Stephen Colbert, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Stephen Colbert is a huge J.R.R. Tolkien fan and scholar, having shown off his geek credentials multiple times on The Colbert Report and The Late Show.
Last time you were here, we were having a Tolkien showdown, and I smoked you like a ham.
In 2013, he was rewarded for his devotion with a small part in the second installment of Peter Jackson's The Hobbit trilogy. Colbert appears on screen for just a few seconds as one of Lake Town's spies. Owen Wilson, Rushmore. Wilson co-wrote this indie dramedy cult classic with childhood friend and frequent collaborator Wes Anderson, and his 2 actor brothers show up in minor roles. Andrew plays a coach at the titular school, and Luke plays a doctor who goes on a date with Rosemary, played by Olivia Williams, with whom most of the men in the movie are totally obsessed.
These are OR scrubs. Oh, are they?
But Owen is in the film too. If you look closely, he plays Edward Appleby, Rosemary's deceased husband, who appears exclusively in a couple pictures on the wall in Rosemary's house. basically everyone in Star Wars The Force Awakens. When the new installment of this beloved franchise hit theaters in 2015, it was full of secret cameos from actors who just wanted to be part of the fun. So when Rey trades salvaged parts to his Jakku junk dealer in exchange for rations, there's actually a familiar face under all that latex, padding, and CGI. Actor, writer, and total Star Wars superfan Simon Pegg. And he's not the only one. Remember the stormtrooper who releases Rey in this pivotal scene?
And you'll drop your weapon?
And I'll drop my weapon.
That's James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, trading his dinner jacket for a suit of white plastic armor. And a final surprise, throughout the movie you're hearing but not seeing a famous comedian. The little chirps and blips made by BB-8, the world's most adorable droid, are actually the vocalizations of actor and Saturday Night Live alumnus Bill Hader. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.